Stance.
Punch stance. Punch stance.
Hey
everybody, welcome.
Welcome to my lungs.
Okay, hey everybody, welcome to Whiskey-Rut. This is the show where we...
Everybody.
Who's that? Did you just make it?
Everybody. It's old. I'm gonna look it up.
Welcome to Whiskey-Rut. This is the show where we taste, rate, and review different whiskeys. My name is Chris.
Skye.
And today we got a couple of bourbons that we're going to review. We have a rating system in place here. So 10 barrels is going to be the least expensive. So 10 barrels is going to be the best tasting. 10 barrels is going to be the best tasting, least expensive whiskey. And then 1 barrel is going to be the most expensive, worst tasting whiskey. The idea of the show is we want to get you the best bang for your buck. There's a lot of great whiskeys out there that, you know, are $30, $80, anywhere in between. There's also great whiskeys that are over $80, $100. So we just want to make sure that we are reviewing them for you. And dude, what do we have going on today?
So I'm excited about this episode because we're doing 2 bourbons, and the thing about these 2 bourbons is that they're both pretty well priced, and I would say they're very popular. Like, these are 2 that most people have either heard about, had at their favorite pub, or have on their shelves, you know, most of the time throughout the year. These are sort of like 2 everyday whiskeys.
Yeah.
Not special occasion whiskeys, not like cheap rot gut whiskey, but like these are whiskeys that people have all the time. And so I'm excited because if you're going to choose one, if you're at the store and you're like, which one do I want on my shelf? Which one are you going to choose? And so I'm excited to get into these. So,
and the Bulleit, that was a request from
Daniel.
Yes.
Our buddy Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
So, Daniel, thank you for the request.
Daniel.
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 Danielson.
Danielson. I would call him that all the time.
Yeah.
Focus.
Hey.
Who are you?
It's just blinding lights. I can't see anything. Let's go into the Bulleit first. Chris, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah. So, Bulleit, it's... like Skye said, everybody has it. If you go to a bar, if you go to a parlor, it's going to be on the shelf there. It's a bourbon. And kind of how this started was in 1830, the initial Bulleit bourbon or Bulleit distillery was started by Augustus Bulleit. And so, basically 30 years it lasted, and then it disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to it. It's a conspiracy theory. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, this, when it was originally made, the mash bill on it was 2/3 rye, 1/3 corn. It was basically a rye. And it came back in the 1980s, kind of late 80s. And what they did is they still kind of kept that. It's going to be 28% rye, 68% corn, 4% malted barley. So they really wanted to keep that kind of rye flavor within the bourbon. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for this one. You know, obviously had it before, but it's been a while, man. So yeah. I'm excited for it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Switching to the makers. An interesting thing about Maker's Mark is you'll notice that most bourbons are spell whiskey with an E in it. Maker's Mark does not. See that bad boy? Yeah, just with a Y. And there's an interesting story behind that. Actually, there's a lot of sort of different like myths, legends, arguments about why certain whiskeys are spelled with just a Y and certain whiskeys are spelled with just an E. You'll notice like in our name, we have an E, but it's in, you know, parentheses or whatever. Generally, it's Irish and bourbon whiskeys that are spelled with an E. And the story behind that kind of goes way back to Ireland and Scotland in the 1900s. And back then, Irish whiskey was actually the most massively produced, and Scottish whiskey was far behind. And there was a governmental decree that said, you know, whiskey can now be made blended. People could start blending whiskey. And Scottish people, what? Because he can't open the wax.
I can't open it. The tab like ripped off, and now it's just wax.
The whole stupid face is next to you.
I need a kniff.
Where's your knife?
This bottle's been compromised. It's a practical joke on us. You're using a claw hammer to open the whiskey.
Wow.
All right, so if you're ever going to choose between these 2 whiskeys, note the ease of opening is also a factor. So don't let it deter you from the Maker's Mark, but just know you have some work
You
ahead
can't
of you.
open this unless you are, in fact, Wolverine.
Yes, it's not for the
Prepare
faint of
yourself.
heart. Right? This is not for the faint of heart. To get back to what...
Where was I in the story?
He
Oh, yeah.
was the main.
So Irish whiskey back then was mass-produced. Well, once they were allowed to start blending, well, the Scottish folks were good at marketing, and they were able to blend whiskeys together and make a similar quality whiskey. And actually, the Irish distillers fought back, and they tried to have it banned. Actually, they didn't even want the Scottish to be able to call it whiskey. They wanted it to, like, say you can't even call it whiskey. The Irish distillers were like, well, fine. We're going to be whiskey, and they're going to put an E in it. It's like to distinguish themselves. Like, we're the real whiskey. These guys are the fake whiskey. They're the posers, right? And so, why does American bourbon use the E? Well, it went through a similar transition. They didn't used to use the E, but after Prohibition, when distillers could start really mass producing again, they wanted to sort of associate themselves with the higher end Irish whiskey at the time. And so they went with the E. So generally today you'll find Scotch, Canadian, Japanese whiskeys, they all use just the Y. It's usually just Irish and bourbons and American whiskeys that use the E maker's mark. For whatever reason, I don't know. They chose to use just the Y. So,
to distinguish themselves from the distinguished. Woo!
Do you want me to just run upstairs?
I want you to shut your face.
he's got to finish. You got to finish what you start.
I've traveled so far.
Yeah!
Yay! Yes! Success!
You
Oh.
conquered wax.
That's some thick wax.
That's some thick wax.
That was a horrible throw.
Oh,
That's a
hey.
good throw.
This better taste good after all that work.
Yeah.
You didn't think you had to get a full-time job
I know,
to open
right?
a bottle of whiskey.
I'm gonna be like Homer when he has the one weight, just from like doing the wax, just one rip down. Over this one.
Let's do the bellet.
Okay.
It's rested longer. A lot longer.
So on the nose,
Smells
it's
spicy.
real fresh. Smells spicy. That's what I was gonna say.
Rye. Smell
Smells
that
good.
rye.
It's not. To be honest, I don't get a lot of what you think of a bourbon. So like vanillas, caramels, brown sugars, those kinds of things.
No, maybe a little caramel, but yeah, you're right. It's
You get a lot of
Spicy.
spice. Yeah.
a little bit of like apple, maybe
Yeah.
grass, but it smells good.
Sounds gross either way.
Oh,
You ever eat some hay?
yeah. You ever
No.
tried it?
Hey.
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 Hey,
Oh.
oats.
Thanks, story bots.
That rye it definitely has a rye kick to it.
It does. I mean, it really, you get a lot of the rye. But it's not a heavy rye either. It's kind of a mellow rye. You have the tingles on the tongue.
Yeah, it burns.
I mean, it's, yeah. As far as complexity, I don't think it's going to be that complex.
It has that tanniny like tin in the back.
It does, yeah.
Like if you just put a spoon in between your fillings, you know, and like a metallic taste.
But it's not, like, overwhelming, though.
No, it's not
We've had
bad.
some where it's like, it's just all tannins, and you're like,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
I just can't drink it.
It's a little harsh.
35
35
for the
for
bullet.
the
Yeah.
bullet. Okay. Yeah, what's the proof on it?
90.
90 proof? Okay.
Pretty-
so they're both
pretty
90
standard,
proof.
yeah.
Both 90 horse. Like if you were going for this for a bourbon, it tastes more rye
It does.
to me, which I don't
really?
mind. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I know you love your ryes.
Mm-hmm.
I love your ryes as well.
I guess they're so romantical.
I'm all covered in Truly.
A fail. All right.
Oh, okay. So makers.
Makers. Make it.
On the nose.
Make it. What is happening? Seriously, it's like cannon fodder. I can't see.
Cannon.
It smells like it would be really sweet.
It's, to me, I get like a cherry. Like a little bit
Yeah.
of a cotton candy.
I get the cherry.
Not like
Cotton
a,
candy.
not like a super sweet, but kind of that vague cotton candy smell you get at like a fair or something like that.
I get the ethanol in it. a little bit.
Gasoline.
Really?
A little bit. Just
Rubbing
like
alcohol.
alcohol-ish smell. Yeah, it's not
Acetone,
bad.
then. The sweetness is acetone.
The acetone. Stripping nail polish.
My acetone.
Your acetone? Okay.
Yeah. Drink up your ass.
Wow, it's a lot less sweet than I thought it was gonna be.
It's more oaky, is what I
Oaky.
get on it.
But I do get the
But it's
vanilla.
not as sweet.
The vanilla, the oak.
Yeah.
There's caramel.
I still get cherry, man. That's weird.
So you get wood and he gets cherry, huh? Is what you're saying.
That's one way of putting it.
It's the only way.
It's
the only way.
It's just an observation I've made. That's
Oh,
all. That's
yeah.
all.
Yeah. Just there passively
It's not-
observing.
It's not like I'm a pervert.
That's
or anything.
all.
It's just-
Yeah.
Came to-
This one's a lot more mellow. It doesn't. So the mash bill on this, I forgot to talk about that. It's 70% corn. I could be wrong. It's about 15% rye, about 15% malted barley. But the rye on this is much more mild. I do not
Much more mild. Yeah.
taste the rye near as much. It's a little spicy, but it's much more vanilla caramel,
On the-
sweet,
yep.
and it's more mellow.
Yep.
It's a little more rounded,
Yeah.
maybe.
I'd say that too. Yeah. You want to rate these?
Yeah, let's do it.
Rate these dudes. This is tough, man. I like them both for different reasons. This is smoother on the tongue. I think I like the smell of the Bulleit better, but the tongue just isn't as nice. Jesse.
I mean, come on. Tongue just isn't as nice.
Oh, jeez. Our wives, ladies. Our wives.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to give Makers a 7, and I'm going to give Bulleit a 6. Because after I just tasted them again, I think at the end of the day, if I'm going to sip on it, I'd like a smoother whiskey, so Makers would win the day.
I'm going to give the Bulleit Bourbon specifically. I might write the rye different, but the Bourbon, I'm going to give a 5.
Okay.
Because I do like it, but one, I think it's somewhat misleading because it's a bourbon, but
It's got a lot
you're
of rye.
getting a rye
Yeah.
in taste. And it's just harsh. But I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give this a 7. For a $35 bottle, man, it's smooth. It gives you that classic bourbon flavor, caramel, vanilla, oak. I don't know. I think for the price, it delivers. So
Plus, it's a sweet bottle.
they hand dip each bottle in wax,
That
you know,
Chris can't open.
Yeah.
and you can't open it. So it's secure. It adds security. So there you have it. Our take on these two very popular household whiskeys. I think we both say Maker's Mark is a better bang for your buck, but in general, they're both good bourbons to grab off the shelf. So thanks again for joining us. Again, if you like the content we're making, please hit the subscribe button. And if there's any whiskeys you want us to try, please let us know. And as always, get out there, rut.
Get out there! Rut.
Rut? Yeah, it's kind of funky.
Listen.